Last weekend, I met one of my old friends. So we were meeting after a long time, and while talking to him, he shared one of his experiences. So he said that because he works in a bank, so he get transferred after every 3 4 years. So way back in 2019, he was transferred to Jabalpur, and he was traveling to another branch, which was another city nearby, which was I think around 2 to 3 hours from Jabalpur. So he said that on a given day, he worked for around 13 14 hours and he was completely tired. And after that, he left for the other branch because it was important, some important work was there. So he said that while going to the other city on the highway, he had an accident. So he said that after the accident, when this accident happened, he came out of the car, and car was completely damaged, but he didn't even get a single scratch. So he said that there is something that always there to protect us. So while listening to him, I was seeing that we can't control anything, because after such an accident, he said that car was completely damaged, but he didn't get even a single scratch. Because normally, if such kind of accidents happen, normally you get a fracture or you get serious injury. But not even getting a single scratch, that means there is something, some power, or I don't know, but there is something that controls things. Today morning, I was having a session with one of my students. So while having a session, because he has when he contacted me 2 days before, and he said that he has given GMAT twice, and in both the attempts he scored around 590 and 600. So when I was having a session with him, and I was discussing quant questions with him, so he was struggling a bit with the questions. And the problem was not knowledge. He was aware of the concepts, but he was not reading the questions properly. He was not spending enough time to solve the question, taking different cases, because it was a bit difficult question. So I asked him when he prepared, did he spend enough time to solve questions while practicing? So he said that I don't have time, because in the exam we just have 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes to complete the question. So I realized that when we practice, most of the time, I would say, because maximum students they fail to get 700 plus. So I was thinking, what was the main reason, and why did he fail to get to 700? Why he stuck at 590, 600 despite doing so much practice? I think we don't trust. Trust in the sense, because when you practice, you have to go deep and solve each question yourself. But to solve that question yourself, you have to stay with that question long enough. Sometimes it could be half an hour, 1 hour, maybe more than that. Normally it doesn't take that long, but I normally suggest to my students that stick with that question as long as it takes, because you have to solve each question yourself. But every time I suggest, they say that we don't have time. But on the other side, if you don't invest time, you will not understand how to solve that type of question. Because what happens, a student tries a question for 2 3 minutes. If he doesn't understand, he looks at the explanation, because he thinks it's better to do 50 questions rather than doing 5 questions. But in that rush, we don't improve, because we are not using our head. Because if you're not investing time in solving the question yourself, you will not learn maths. It doesn't matter how many questions you solve. But what is the reason that we are so afraid to invest ourselves? I think we don't trust the process, or we want the certainty that if I invest that much time, I should get the results. But there's no certainty. But if you do that, if you just invest a lot of energy, concentration, and you solve every question yourself patiently, I believe it will increase the probability of reaching 700 plus. But if we don't do that, probably we'll never reach there, because we are not growing in our concentration. Because in GMAT, because we always get a new question, concept stays the same, but the question changes. And if you're not you don't have a habit of solving a new thing yourself, you'll always be afraid. And when you're afraid, you'll have anxiety. And if you have anxiety, you will not be able to focus. So probably I think it's the faith or the trust that we don't have. But what if we just work with this way, that okay, let me just go deep, and I want to make sure that I master this question, I master this concept, rather than just thinking of just solving this question or doing more question and without solving each question yourself. You say that, okay, I'll work very patiently and I'll make sure that I'll solve every question myself. Maximum what will happen? You will not get 700. But if you do this, it will increase your probability to get 700. But if you don't do that, then it's a certain that you're not going there. So do you understand that if you have to trust, you have to go deep, you have to solve every question yourself. If you do that, it will increase your probabilities to get to the 700 plus. If you don't do that, it's certain, I say it's certain that you're not going anywhere. So learn to trust and have faith that if I go deep and if I just study with this mindset that I have to master this, okay, I don't have to just solve questions and somehow get the answer and look at the explanation. You just study with this intent that I have to master this, whatever I study, whether you're doing verbal, you're doing quant, you solve every question yourself. Trust me, you have a very high probability and probability to get the score, and you will take less time than normally a student takes when he's doing a lot of questions and looking at the explanation. So just try this and I hope you get a good score in GMAT. Thank you.